Hello everyone! Today on Toddler TV we are going to dive into some Mater tales. Starting off with Mater the Greater. It was a warm sunny day in Radiator Springs. It was a perfect day to stop by Flo's V8 Cafe for a sip of refreshing oil. And that's just when Lightning McQueen and his pals Luigi and Guido had done. Suddenly, the calm of the day was broken with a yell and crash. It was Mater jumping a ramp. "Are you all right?" Lightning asked the tow truck. "Oh, that was nothing," Mater said. "I used to be a daredevil." Tall tales, Mater tells tall tales. If you have the need for action, these tales will give you satisfaction. His stories never fail, Mater's tall tales. "Folks would come from all over to see my stunts," Mater said as he began to tell his story. The crowd filled the stadium. They waited anxiously for their hero to appear. "Ladies and gentle cars," the stadium's announcer said loudly to the audience, "Mater the Greater!" The crowd roared in excitement. They honked their horns and stomped their tires. Young cars bought souvenirs and trinkets to remind them of their brave hero. One of the most popular items was a pair of buck teeth, just like Mater's. "I did all kinds of stunts," Mater said. One stunt found Mater shot from a cannon and through a ring of fire. That trick didn't end well, though. Instead of making it through the hoop, Mater the Greater landed right in the middle of the fire, crashing to the floor. "I busted nearly every part in my body." For another stunt, Mater parked atop a very high ladder. He strapped on a pair of goggles and slipped into a snorkel into his mouth. It was time for Mater the Greater to do his famous high dive into a very small bucket of water, many feet below his platform. Mater dove from the top of that ladder and fell down, down, down into the waiting bucket of water far below. A bucket that wasn't put together all that well, and water that didn't do much to stop his fall. The crowd roared as the brave tow truck completed his latest feat. "But the greatest stunt, the biggest stunt Mater the Greater ever did," Mater said, continuing his tall tale, "was jumping Carburetor Canyon." "Jumping Carburetor Canyon," Lightning said. "No way." "Yes way, you remember," said Mater. "You was there too." "What?" Lightning screamed. He didn't like the idea of being a daredevil. The two pals parked on the lip of a giant ramp above the biggest canyon in all of Carburetor Canyon. "Ready, buddy?" Mater asked Lightning. Lightning wasn't ready at all. But before the scared race car could object, Mater the Greater started him on his way. And just like that, Lightning McQueen's rocket pack started up. The tow truck watched as Lightning went even faster than when he was zooming around a track during a championship race. Lightning zoomed off the edge of the ramp, and down, down, down he went, screaming all the way, "Ah!" Lightning roared down the biggest ramp that anyone in Radiator Springs had ever seen. And then up, up, up he went, up the other side of the ramp. Lightning screamed as the wind whipped through his rumbling radiator. "Ah!" And he was still screaming as his tires left the last bit of ramp. Up into the sky, that screaming race car flew, far above the rocks and desert below. "Well, what happened?" Lightning asked, hoping for a happy ending. "You didn't make it," said Mater. Tall tales, Mater tells tall tales. He's a daring truck on the scene, with his real good pal Lightning McQueen. Into the air they sail, Mater's tall tales. Next is Tokyo Mater. It was a slow, lazy afternoon in Radiator Springs. Suddenly there came the screech of speeding tires. "Hey losers, drifting through," yelled a fast car as he zoomed past Flo's. "Get back here, you import punk," Sheriff said. "I used to be an import," Mater said. And so Mater's next tale began. "Hey there, bud," Mater said to a broken down car. "Looks like you could use a tow somewheres." "Yes," said the car, "but it is very far." "Well, shoot," Mater said. "Like I always say, No tar's too far for tow Mater. Mater towed the car all the way to Tokyo, Japan. Mater's exhaust huffed and puffed as he pulled the other car out of the Pacific Ocean. Whew, Mater coughed. Man, I gotta change my slogan. Despite the long drive, Mater had saved the day. Well, here you go, he said. Domo arigato, Mr. Tomato, the grateful car replied. Mater had never seen such a busy place before. Cars lined the streets of the big city. There were so many cars everywhere. Headlights flashed and horns honked. Big city lights blazed in the night sky. What in the world? Mater wondered. Then some cute cars caught Mater's attention. Hello, ladies, he said. But before Mater could make any more small talk with the pretty young cars, he heard the roar of a revved-up racing engine. A tricked-out street racing car named Kobato was suddenly face-to-face with Mater. Kobato said something in Japanese. What's that? Mater asked. He challenges you to a drift race, explained the car Mater had towed. Drift race? The cute girl car squealed. We will race at midnight, said Kobato. And with that, the speedy stranger zoomed off with a large group of other fast cars. Well, they seem friendly, said Mater. If you are going to race, said the towed car, you will need modifications. What's that? Mater asked. Before he heard the answer, Mater was already getting modified. He got a spiffy new paint job and a super fast racing engine. Mater looked and sounded good, but there was one question left. Did he know how to race? The race was set to end at the top of Tokyo Tower. The winner would be named the king of all drifters, while the loser would be stripped of his fancy modifications. The race started out badly for Mater. Kobato was faster and also had the help of some ninjas. Whoa, ninjas? Lightning asked, interrupting Mater's tall tale. Well, what did you do? Well, shoot, said Mater. You ought to know. You was there too. And sure enough, Mater told Lightning how he'd appeared on those bright night streets of Tokyo in the middle of a pack of ninjas who were there trying to stop Mater from winning the drift race. Just as the ninjas were about to run poor Mater right off the road, there was a flash of lightning. Then Dragon Lightning McQueen appeared. I'll take care of this, dragon style, Lightning said to his pal. With his racing tires, Dragon Lightning McQueen kicked the ninjas off the street. The street was now clear, but the two friends knew they had to hurry to win the race. Dragon Lightning McQueen and Mater sped through a construction site. They drifted up and down the cement, but Kobato was still ahead of them. Quickly, follow me, Lightning shouted. He showed Mater a shortcut and then gave him a boost all the way to Tokyo Tower. Mater raced to the top and won the drift race. And that's how I became Tokyo Mater, king of all the drifters, Mater said, ending his tall tale proudly. Tall tales, Mater tells tall tales, drifting through the streets of Tokyo, slick and modified, saying, let's go! Painted from hood to tail, Mater's tall tales. Next up is El Matador. It was a regular sunny day in Carburetor County. Mater and his buddy Lightning McQueen decided to take a ride all the way to the outskirts of Radiator Springs. As they drove deeper into the country, Lightning saw some interesting vehicles behind a fence. Hey, look, he said, bulldozers. Mater wasn't surprised by the gigantic beasts. Yep, Mater said, them's just like the ones I used to fight. What? Lightning asked his buddy. That's right, Mater told a surprised Lightning. I was a famous bulldozer fighter in Spain. Mater then began to tell Lightning about the time he had spent fighting mean and dangerous bulldozers. They called me El Matador, Mater said. With a special bulldozer fighting hat and fancy golden paint job, El Matador was the sharpest looking tow truck in Spain. He waved a bright red cape through the air, ready to fight any bulldozers that came his way. The crowd was ready for action. Their hero rolled calmly into the middle of the arena. Just then, at the other end of the ring, a large gate opened. Out of the gate rolled the biggest, meanest, scariest bulldozer anyone had ever seen. With two sharp horns coming out of the top of its cab and a great pierced ring through its enormous grill, the angry bulldozer stared at old Matador. Its exhaust snorted angry snorts. Its tread stomped across the dusty dirt floor of the Bulldozer fighting ring. This bulldozer did not plan on letting Mater out of the ring, not in one piece at least. El Matador waved his bright red cape. That was all the bulldozer needed to get moving. The bulldozer came rolling and roaring at the brave tow truck. Just as the bulldozer seemed like it would run El Matador down, the red-caped flashed and the bulldozer fighter stepped out of the way. And each time El Matador's adoring fans would shout, "Ole!" The same thing happened again and again. The bulldozer would dash across the ring, its horns lowered and steam coming out of its snout. In the nick of time, El Matador scooted away to safety. "Ole!" shouted El Matador. "Ole!" shouted the crowd. El Matador grew more and more confident each time the angry bulldozer missed him. He even blew the bulldozer a kiss. But things were about to get a lot more dangerous for El Matador. This time, 3 big gates opened up, and 3 very large and very angry bulldozers rolled into the ring. For the first time that day, El Matador appeared just a little bit worried. He had handled 1 bulldozer, but 3 bulldozers was a whole different story. The bulldozers stomped their treads and lowered their heads. They charged El Matador all at once. What would he do? Just as the crowd's hero looked like a goner, he pulled out his bright red cape and stood tall in the center of the ring. El Matador was ready to bravely face the charge of these 3 massive machines. The bulldozers chased the tow truck around the arena. He scooted and swerved, getting out of the way just as he was about to be clobbered. The bulldozers chased El Matador to the wall, hoping to smash into him, but El Matador was too quick for the 3 big and angry machines. Finally, the 3 bulldozers came at him from 3 sides. They had El Matador surrounded. Just as the bulldozers were about to smash him between the jaws of their scoops, El Matador leaped into the air. The bulldozers smashed into each other and the bulldozer fighter was safe. The crowd went wild. But the bulldozers would not quit that easily. This time, 6 bulldozers came after El Matador. So there I was, surrounded by bulldozers all around me, Mater told Lightning, both of them back in Carburetor County. "Well, what did you do?" Lightning asked. "Well, don't you remember? You was there too," Mater told his friend. "What?" Lightning yelled. "They sure like that fancy red paint job of yours," Mater said. 6 angry bulldozers promptly forgot all about El Matador. Instead, they chased that fancy red race car right out of the arena. And with an "Ole!" El Matador rode off into the sunset with his biggest fans. Tall tales, Mater tells tall tales. Did you hear his latest story? El Matador won fame and glory. Can't wait to hear his next whopping tall tale. The end. Ole.